So today I want to teach you guys the difference between a regular table saw setup and a dado stack setup. So this is your regular table saw combination blade, just like the ones we have at school. It's 10 inches in diameter, and because it's a combination blade, it has those deep gullets interspersed between a lot of teeth. And then if you take a close look up, you can see that these teeth alternate between being ground straight across, being ground with a carbide tip to the right, and being ground with a carbide tip to the left. And this is to score both sides of the cut so that you minimize tear out as you cut through the wood. And if I look at a dado blade, you'll notice some immediate differences. First off, the dado blade is only 8 inches in diameter. Secondly, if you take a close look at it, you'll see again it alternates between flat ground carbide tips and angled carbide tips, but in this case the angle is only moving in a single direction, and this means that this blade is one-sided. So this particular blade is meant to score on the left side of your cut, so it should always be located on the left side of your dado stack. Because the blades are different diameters, that also means that the cartridges are different. So a typical saw stop cartridge has a brick of aluminum here to slam into the blade and get it to stop moving very quickly. But it's pretty narrow because it's only designed for a single blade. Dado stack, you can have as many as 5 or 6 blades stacked all at once, and you need to get those to stop just as quickly. So you can see here, the dado stock cartridge, much thicker. It also is much taller because it needs to accommodate that 8-inch diameter instead of the 10-inch diameter. So at school, you're not allowed to change out the cartridges or blades by yourself. You have to ask a monitor to do it for you. But this is just for your future reference. Most shops don't have the luxury of having multiple table saws like ours do. So you need to know this for future reference if you're ever using a table saw and you need to convert it from a standard blade setup to a dado stack setup. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to slip on the cartridge that's specifically for dado blades. And it just lives on these 2 posts in here. Put in the key so that it's communicating with the computer. And then I need to set up my dado blades according to which side of the cut it will be on. So this one, the carbide teeth are pointing over to the left. So I know it belongs on the left side of the cut. And then I have the option, because I believe for most dado stacks you can cut up to 3/4 of an inch wide. I have the option of adding in these filler plates in between. So you'll see this particular blade has 4 carbide teeth. The ones at our school, I believe, have 2 carbide teeth each, and those carbide teeth are ground flat across. So anytime that you bring your blades to a sharpener, you want to make sure that they're all sharpened simultaneously so that they continue to cut a nice flat channel. In this case, I'm not going to be using any of these filler blades because I only want to cut a 1/4 inch channel. But say if I did really need to dial in the thickness of my groove that I'm cutting, I also have these shims as well. So I can be pretty particular about what thickness dado I'm cutting. In this case, it's really easy. I have 2 1/8 inch blades. Put them together, I'm going to have a 1/4 inch cut. One thing you need to be mindful of is that these carbide teeth are extremely sharp and brittle, so you don't want to hit them against each other because that can chip the teeth. And ordinarily, I would not have room on this threaded post in the table saw for a blade stabilizer because typically when I'm making a dado cut, it's around 1/2 inch to 3/4 wide. In this case, because I'm only making a 1/4 inch wide cut, I do have room for my blade stabilizer and the nut both at the same time. So you might notice that we're actually missing our riving knife. So the purpose of the riving knife is as you're making a through cut on a board, particularly a rip cut where there might be some tension released in the wood, this riving knife prevents the wood from binding up on the back of the blade where you could have kickback. In the case of a dado stack, you're never really making a through cut. You're always making a channel, a groove, a rabbet, the cheeks of a tenon. So you don't actually need your riving knife in this setup. So I'm going to set that aside. And I don't believe the one at the school even has a riving knife on it. And then finally, I have a dedicated throat plate just for dado cuts, so I have as close to a zero clearance cut as possible. And now I should be ready to go.